Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we're on to the first piece
You
here,
just walked out.
and I would like to call on Chief Golden.
The first item I have is a motion to approve making a conditional job offer to Blaine Jansen for the position of patrol officer, pending successful pre-employment requirements, effective starting date of May 4th, 2020.
Okay.
Okay, I'll move to accept the donate,
study
on a
session.
wrong deal. Move to approve the making a
Study session.
conditional,
No,
On study
for
session.
study session.
why didn't it not go there?
Okay.
Come on, boy. I was there. It's still not right.
Yeah, it does have a motion there. I don't know why it's got a
I don't know
motion.
why it says that. It says
We
there's a
don't need a
motion to
motion.
approve, but we
Yeah.
don't, we
Okay.
can't do
Okay,
that.
No,
you
basically-
bring it next week.
Yeah.
There you
I was
go.
only doing what I was told.
Yep,
One of the
yep.
first times in my life I did that, and I got chastised for it, so I won't ever let that happen again.
The next
The
three have
sex-
motions
The
too.
next one say it too.
But they don't have motions.
No motions. What I'd like to do is open up the animal control shelter technician position and end the hiring process for the animal shelter control officer position. We've been trying to hire an ACO since December of 2019, and we've come to the determination that it'd be better to have a animal control shelter tech instead. So I'd like to open that position.
Okay,
Okay.
so you
Okay.
bring that next week too.
Okay. And with that being said, I'd like to make a conditional job offer to Lucinda Jarvis for the position of animal control shelter technician, pending successful pre-employment requirements effective May 4th as well.
Okay,
Bring it.
see you next week.
All right. Thank you.
And you keep an eye on who types this
But
thing.
we're-
Call on Chief Weisman, who when his turn ran out of the room first. Trying to confuse me today.
He did, didn't he?
We have two things for study session today. The first one, we had a month-long at Midway with our fire truck, 1928 LaFrance restoration project. $50 from each vehicle was given. Now, the goal was to raise $10,000. Even with COVID, I think we did a really great thing out there, which $7,550 from Midway Motors, so it was a great donation. We did send them a letter already, but if you guys happen to see them, talk to them.
Very good.
Okay. Well, maybe when we go back into session, we'll take care of this one this week.
Okay.
Okay, what's your second item?
Second item, the rescue lost power while it was in service on an incident. The apparatus power sequencer, there's a module on there that starts saving the truck from when it has a failure like this to try to keep it alive. It had a bad alternator. It was required that a new one was ordered immediately to get the truck back in service. We ordered it, and it was from Roberts and Son. It was $1,034.66. Our guys installed it and got the truck back in service.
Good.
Okay,
Bring it.
yeah,
That's it.
okay. All right, we are down to public lands and facilities.
I have a couple of requests. Excuse me. The first one is a safety shoe policy instead of a safety or a boot policy. Staff is requesting that we adopt a safety shoe policy for the public lands and facilities departments. And the attached policy has been approved by Jeff Houston and Tammy Seeley.
Okay, you bring it next week?
Okay. The next one is temporary positions for the park department and the cemetery. I know that we've had this on hold, requesting to start temporary employees on May the 20th. We have, the park department has 10 seasonal and temporary positions budgeted. and we're requesting to hire 6, 3 seasonal and 3 temporary. We have $43,000 in the budget for temporary. With the 6, we'd have about $26,370. We'd have a savings there. We currently have 1 temporary employee working, and we just lost the other temporary employee to a full-time position within the park. We promoted him to a full-time position in the park department. And in the cemetery, would request 1 more seasonal position. And we look at the seasonal positions from May 20th to the end of July. And the temporary positions would be until the 1st of September.
Okay, Commissioner,
Yep, bring it.
okay, you'll bring it
Okay.
next week.
Okay.
I do think we need to think long and hard about how many hours we use them. If we can cut back, we
That's-
definitely need to look at doing that.
My
because-
seasonal positions are, the 3 positions are no more than 35 hours per week, and the temporary positions are no more than 30 hours per week.
Just saying, when it comes to, if we get tight here,
You know, we're gonna have to go lean and mean.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
all right, I guess my question before Jeff starts is, are you covering the golf course under COVID-19?
yes.
Okay, come on up.
We have damage to the northeast corner of Woodside and Main. The end of the top and curb are broken up and needs to be replaced. When replaced, we'll construct a bigger radius to accommodate the truck traffic coming out of the mill. New ADA ramps also need to be constructed. We put together an estimate, the amount of $5,204.67 for materials only.
Okay.
On March 2nd, the commission approved the purchase of 1 load of patch and pave, which is a cold mix patch material from Schilling Asphalt. This was a new material produced by Schilling out of Manhattan. The material works better than the cold patch we've been using. The price is competitive, but it's a little further away. We'd like to get a $10,000 approval to purchase as needed for the remainder of the year.
I think that'll work. How much will that get? Is that 1 truckload, 2
Oh, no,
truckloads?
it's about probably 9.
Okay. Okay.
Next item is in the 200 block of West Euclid. On October 7th, 2019, the commission approved the repair of the 200 block of Euclid Street. We received several complaints about the deteriorating pavement parking there along the 200 block. We've tried to patch it with asphalt several times, but it just won't hold. We put together an estimate to remove and replace it in the amount of $3,656.54 for materials only. We were unable to complete the work in 2019 and like to bring it back next week for approval.
Okay.
Okay,
Good.
The next item is on the Hard Up Elizabeth Street Reconstruction Project, change order number 6 for temporary surfacing. The contractor was able to complete the storm sewer portion of the project prior to the street construction. However, in doing so, we created the need for temporary surfacing to accommodate the traffic over the winter months. Attached for your review is change order and the computations required of the temporary surfacing. Total temporary surfacing used was 113.4 cubic yards versus the estimated 70 yards in the contract. This caused a contract increase of $6,510. Change order number 7 on the Hard Up Elizabeth Street Reconstruction Project to install the new sidewalk at 110 North Hard Up. Grading would have to been accomplished that would have damaged the roots of 2 large trees. The trees otherwise were out of the way of construction. We installed an edge curb to hold the dirt back, thus saving the tree and the expense of the tree removal. We received a proposal from the contractor in the amount of $8 per lineal foot. Total of 45.33 lineal foot of edge curb was required Total cost $362.64.
Okay, bring it next week.
Sounds good.
Administration,
First item I have for you, back on January 6th of 2020, the commission approved $1,805 for upgrades to Laserfish software. Laserfish is how we can go back and do digital search on past happenings and ordinances and whatnot. There were two quotes presented, one from Reach Solutions Incorporated to upgrade the server for an amount not to exceed $795, and another quote from Galaxy Business Equipment Incorporated to upgrade the Laserfish software at $1,010 for a grand total not to exceed $1,805. After receiving the final invoice from Galaxy Business Equipment, there were some additional charges for labor of $360 due to installation running longer than expected. We need to increase that local amount authorized by Galaxy Business Equipment from $1,010 to $1,370. That brings the total upgrade cost of the Laserfish software to $2,165.
okay, you bring it next week.
Yep, we plan to do that. We do, as of 4/15, April 15th, the cash balance at the golf course fund is $36,680.01. The last payroll expense was $8,124.26. Accounts payable expenses for April thus far have been $16,483.84, and accounts payable for April 20th is estimated to be $1,104.02. Our next payroll is estimated at $7,796.28. This will take the cash balances down to $27,779.71. With the recent closure of the golf course, and I know we're going to talk a little bit about that today, revenues into the fund have stopped. If payroll and accounts payable continue at this pace, the fund will be in jeopardy of going into the red within 2 to 3 weeks. Therefore, after talking to Janetta Shepik, our finance director, we're recommending that we approve a transfer of $25,000, which is half of what is budgeted as far as the budgeted transfer to the golf course within the next few months, and we'd like to go ahead and bring that next week if there's no opposition to that. And hopefully, one of the discussion items that'll be next, we hope that the golf course is up and running on a limited basis, and we're starting to bring in some revenue again. So, with that, I just ask that we go ahead and bring half of that transfer next week if there's no opposition.
No opposition today.
Okay. With that, I do want to give, as I've done the last 4 weeks, I want to give an update on the briefing. As you remember, we formed an EOC a number of weeks back to address the situation we're dealing with as it relates to COVID-19. And I want to provide a little bit of an update on that briefing for you today. The first item I'll cover, the mayor kind of talked a little bit. Do you want to bring that up, Bo? As far as items, we do continue to update you with all the things we brought to you since March 23rd when we formed the EOC, and all the way up to today. And those continue to be priorities for us. I did want to bring, so you guys had a chance to see this. This is actually, this talks about some of the things the mayor talked about, but this is up on our COVID site, and this is a good representation of what's happened countywide for us. And this is based upon the updates we're receiving from the health department. So as you can kind of see, there's been a total of 16 cases that have been reported through the health department. There's 8 active cases, and they've all reported that 8 have met the definition of what is recovered. And you can kind of see the active cases kind of shows you where we're at as far as a county. So you kind of see we're going up. We've taken a little bit, took a little bit of a drop, and then we've kind of leveled off with only 2 cases that have been added. So our hope, as the mayor mentioned, is that that continues to go down. We may, as they report to us, recoveries, we hope to see that continue to go down. But we have had, over the last several days, a couple of new cases that were added. But as you can see, we've got a 50% recovery rate that's happened here. I think it's important to kind of see where we've gone from a county standpoint. But if anybody wants to follow this, they can actually go on to our COVID hub site. So if you go to the City of McPherson COVID hub site, you can continue to follow this. But we'll continue to update that as we get updates from the county.
Yeah, and our last few cases have all been at the cluster site, so everything else is going well.
So I did also want to also report that we're continuing to enforce and support the stay-at-home order by the governor. This last week, as everybody knows, extended that order to May 4th, 2020, and we'll continue to enforce that as necessary. I will say there's nothing new on that next point, so I'll kind of skip through that a little bit here. Continuing to both work internally to ensure publicly accessible public sector assets are disinfected, and working regularly with private sector partners to ensure disinfectant measures are being taken at those locations. I know a lot of, at the cluster site, we worked with, we've been in touch with industry and worked to go ahead and get some of those areas deconned, and we'll continue to work on those as they pop up and we might have any issues there. We are continuing to sanitize city assets on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, which include the skate park, dog park, basketball courts are closed to the public, and then trail and open spaces are at our parks continue to remain open. I know it looks like yesterday they implemented the entry into Walmart on a limited basis, and I know that they're counting. They continue to count the individuals that come in, and they'll limit how many folks they'll let in there. And they are continuing to have some elevated measures to go ahead and protect there. So we continue to work on continuity of city operations. Not really much new to report in there on that section. We continue to work to keep the McPherson community calm and limiting panic that comes from the Safer at Home and the stay-at-home ordinance that was issued by the county or by the state of Kansas. We're continuing to handle requests for outside agencies for supplies. In total, we've had 3 requests from outside agencies, and also a number of internal requests we've made to McPherson County Emergency Management. Over this last week, we did have 1 internal and 1 external new request that was received and forwarded to the county. As you all know, and I know that the state reported that it had received a little bit more as far as supplies, but in a lot of ways, we've exhausted those supplies. I don't know exactly what came through to the state, but they did report that they did receive some more additional supplies. But we continue to work with any of our medical locations to try to connect when those supplies are exhausted. We're continuing to work with our local health health providers to continue to work with them to provide supplies as necessary. I did list a number of the nursing homes that we've reached out to make sure and see where they're at as far as supplies. And I won't kind of go through each of these individually, but you can kind of see that there are some needs, particularly for spray disinfectant and wipes. That continues to be a need for us as well at the city. We're very limited in what supplies we have, and they're hard to get through the private sector even. I know that we've reached out to some of our local suppliers here, and we've been able to get some of those things, but we are limited what we have. We'll continue as some of those nursing homes have some needs, and we have the ability to do that. We'll work with them to make sure that they have necessary supplies, but we also got to make sure we have the necessary supplies from first responder standpoint. But I will say that that continues to be an issue, and we're going to continue to work with them. Maintaining and acquiring necessary supplies to perform all the functions. The City of McPherson's response, we'll continue to work with those. We were able to get some additional gloves this last week, and I think we expect some additional sanitizer, hand sanitizers, and things of that nature that we hope to be able to get in here probably this week, I would assume. Is that right, Wayne? Limiting exposure to key emergency response agencies except during critical necessary moments, ensuring all citizens are able to, in a safe manner, to secure the resources needed to live from home for an extended period of time, and those including those that are most susceptible to COVID-19. And we did get an update from the social service side of things, and we've now had over 400 individuals that have taken United Way survey. Also McPherson County Community Foundation has been conducting a survey of area not-for-profit organizations and small businesses. We hope to have some of those results that we can share with you potentially next time next time we do our briefing. The Special Olympics obviously has been they're canceled as a result of some of the COVID-19, and those athletes have all been encouraged to stay home. Grace Med, who's our local clinic that focuses on care for patients with limited funds. They're getting a lot of triage phone calls at this point. They're trying to determine whether symptoms might be COVID-19, and there's also been a lot of inquiries about antibody testing. Grace Med is open, but they are asking that those that want to be treated or be seen to call before coming in, and their in-person appointment numbers are down, and no wellness visits are taking place, and the dental hygiene services are currently suspended. But dentists are available for emergency service, much as many of the dentists around McPherson are as well. Heart to Heart Child Advocacy Center continues to provide forensic interviews. They're doing those in home, but other services are being conducted by phone and through Zoom. Cases are steady, and the supply of masks is low in providing masks to clients who come for services. They could use 12 additional adult masks, and we'll work with them to provide what we need to there as well. McPherson County Food Bank, for reasons that are unclear, the numbers at the McPherson County Food Bank are down in recent weeks. They did report that supplies of bread and pastries have improved. Meats continue to be a biggest challenge. I know with some of the shutdowns of some of the beef plants here in the state of Kansas, that's going to continue to be a challenge. 2 people have called to say they'll donate butchered cattle, so that's a good thing. Real positive for the food bank, and the food bank continues to appreciate both donations for food and financial assistance. In a lot of ways, the financial assistance is just as helpful as the food donations because they could go out and purchase those without any concern from spread of virus. McPherson Y Kids, that did open back up to be able to take childcare. They still have some openings for childcare, so if you're still looking for assistance with childcare, McPherson Y Kids can provide some of that. I know they have limited openings, but I encourage anybody that has that need to call out there. The McPherson Housing Coalition has 2 clients that have recently gotten jobs at Dillon's. Some of those clients have had extra burden of being laid off or had hours cut. McPherson the Housing Coalition has provided 4 Dillon's $50 gift cards to clients recently, and they are very grateful that they've received those. State emergency food assistance update. Governor Kelly and the Department of Children and Family Secretary Laura Howard have announced that the agency will be issuing an emergency food assistance benefit to current program households. The emergency allotment increases a household monthly benefit than the maximum allowed for the size of the family. The maximum monthly benefit for a family of 4 is $646. There's no application that's necessary to receive the emergency funds. Families should now start to see the March emergency benefit on their EBT cards, and the distribution will follow the standard alphabetical schedule. DCF will distribute April emergency benefits in May and April emergency benefits in May, mid and late May. Safe Hope, though their local offices are closed, they continue to serve domestic violence and sexual assault survivors. Obviously, this is a difficult time when we have this stay-at-home ordinance, that we continue to work with them as we can. There have been 50 cases, and there's been an increase in need since the last week in March 4th to 5th request each week. Landlords, they do have still some needs as far as housing vouchers, rental assistance, diapers, formula, and transportation. So that's kind of the report on the social services aspect of this. We continue to coordinate with industry partners to ensure critical industry is continuity and also continuous communication, safe precautions to spread the to prevent virus spread. And some of the things they've worked on this last week, as far as our liaison team from an industry, they continue to realize that individuals and companies could be in need of receiving support during that trying time. Others maybe look to give during this time, and they're working to help identify some of the charities in the city and county of McPherson that can best serve some of the needs, and they're matching up industry with those with hopes of getting some donations. The liaison group has identified 4 charities that they believe will have the best impact on giving if you're in McPherson, and I didn't make it on this sheet, but I will report. They continue. One is United Way.
Yeah, it's on the next page.
Is it? Okay.
Right at the top.
United Way, Churches United in Ministry. That's not the
Yeah.
not the one that they provided, but
That's the 4 you have.
oh, okay, sorry. Yeah, Churches United Ministry, and their contact is Sheila Pluster at 60241-8331. They continue to do the best that they can to help provide for families through that organization. McPherson County Community Foundation, they do have a fund that they've set up, McPherson County Food Bank, which we've talked about, and also the United Way of McPherson County. So if you want to reach out to any of those are some of the better. I'm sure there's a lot of great causes, but if you're going to give, those 4 organizations will continue to be some of the more focused ones that we're encouraging people to give to if they want to be able to help out. I talked a little bit about the surveys, so not really any reason to go over that. And then we will continue to maintain information on that hub site. I want to encourage anybody that wants to see what's happening here locally in McPherson County to go to that hub site. The PIOs for all the industries are also in contact. They're working together to get information out as we can with all of the industry, and all of the public agencies are continue to work together. The industry liaison team is currently developing a resource list to help support our county and represented communities in times of natural disaster. Current COVID-19 incident really brings to light the importance of a proactive solution for identifying resources to those as we're called in times of need. And just an example of that, currently the COVID-19 incident has occurred great demands on all levels of our government. Kansas has received 90% of what the federal government allocates through the net strategic national stockpile, and of that amount, McPherson County receives 0.01% of those government resources based upon our census statistics. The state of Kansas has placed additional orders for PPE supplies. However, those shipments will continue to be extremely slow as they arrive. This leaves the McPherson County and its communities to extremely limited in their ability to help support first responders, medical groups, group home facilities, et cetera, with resources and protection. So one of the things that the industry liaison group has tried to do is help identify private sources that we can hopefully take advantage of as they have resources that come available, and will continue to work with industry to be able to provide those resources as they identify those, and continue to try to match up those needs when they're limited through the state and national stockpile.
Could you reemphasize again the 3 surveys on that top of that?
Yeah, I will mention that, but I would encourage anybody that has any needs, whether it's individuals that they go to the United Way McPherson County Community Needs Survey. You can get to all these from our COVID Hub site, or you can go directly to the United Way to fill out these surveys. If you are in need, this is one of the few ways that we can identify that you have some personal needs. We also are trying to figure out what the needs of not-for-profits are, and also our small businesses. And so you can actually go, there's links to those too as well, and those are through the Community Foundation. So, but you can also go to our hub site, and I think there's links to those as well. As you know, Turkey Creek Golf Course has been closed to golf activities for several weeks now. We've got security, evening security and signage that's up, encouraging people not to participate in golf. The course has been open to walking, and we continue to have those available. I will report, and we'll have a little discussion when we get to the end of this, that a number of the golf courses around the area and around central Kansas, south central Kansas, north central Kansas have opened back up, and we want to talk to you guys a little bit about that when we get to the end of this, end of my briefing. Our recommendations are to open up on a limited basis at the golf course, and we'll talk about that. We continue to coordinate with industry partners for continuity, continuous communication, and safety precautions. We continue to work with food vendors. We haven't had any real issues with that lately. And then also, a huge part of this entire epidemic is trying to put out information. I can say that during this last period, we did a lot of things that focused on trying to continue to build spirits and build some confidence for people that we'll get past this. We did have a photo contest that was put out. They're currently on, as of Friday, they were on day 6. We're on day 9 today. One more day of that, but I think that's gone well. We've had a lot of people that have put in there just things to stay creative and keep your spirits up during this time. McPherson Community Mental Health information we put out. That's a critical thing during this time, is continuing to stay on top of mental health issues that this can create, and we've done that. I am excited to say that we did pass out McPherson Strog yard signs last week. All of those signs were funded by donations from industry. We passed out 250 signs to the community. And we don't, at this point, I don't know whether we plan to order any more, but we were able to pass those 250 signs out in a matter of just a little over 3 hours when we made it open to the public. So I know there was a lot of great response. Unfortunately, we only had so many signs to pass out, but we know that there's a lot of people that support first responders, medical workers, and suppliers, and we appreciate their willingness to put those out in their yards. It's a very positive thing, I think. And we also continue to update that hub site. Most of the things I'm talking about, the surveys and all those things, you can find out on that hub site. But we added a couple areas to that to the hub site over this last week, and it's a Neighbors Helping Neighbors site, because we want to continue to promote the importance of everybody helping each other out during this time. And we've put that site out there, and we're looking for anybody that wants to share some stories about neighbors that they appreciate or people within the community that helped others out. We want to talk about those. We know they're happening behind the scenes, but we want to highlight some of those. And so we'd encourage anybody to go out onto that hub site, which you can get to through the city's website. On the front page, there's a link that goes directly to that, and that city's website is www.mcpcity.com. We talked a little bit about the surveys. You can all find those through the hub site. We also have the community impact dashboard, which I just went over, that has the McPherson County data. You can also get links to the state of Kansas, and I think also the national government to see where we're at as far as COVID numbers. We do have we've added some more frequently asked question links because I know getting information, you want to go from a reliable source. So we've tried to identify some of those frequently asked questions from very reliable sources. So you can go out and see CDC frequently asked questions, KDHE, Kansas Department of Labor. If you're dealing with unemployment issues, you can go out there and find out some of the questions that you might have and don't know where to get some answers. We got some great links on there. Business and industry resources. We update this page. It was formerly the Industrial Resources City Link for each community, and we continue to have updated restaurant guides of what's open, community resources, city updates, and city newsletters. And if your city has resources we'd like to be able to share on this page, and you want us to share, please reach out to the PIO here, or reach out to us here at the city, and we'll be glad to update it for any other cities around the county as well. We've also updated the page with KPA information sheets and posters, and those talk about the KPA. Talks about great resources for businesses to cover any prevention activities, infographics, facility hygiene and readiness checklist, training information, and personal health and readiness checklists. So if you're a business and want to have some additional information, it's out there. Content created and released. Unemployment update. Kansas Department of Labor has released some new filing timelines for citizens who need to file for unemployment, and I'll just give a little brief update on that if you're not aware of it. If you have the last name that begins between A and M, you will file Sunday afternoon, Tuesday, and Thursday. If you have a last name that begins with from N to Z, you'll file on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Saturdays will be reserved for only those that were unable to file on those other days of the week. And there's a handout on both of the drives that's available on the hub site. DCF is emergency management, passed this information along, and we've created an infographic. DCF announced that food aid will be increasing for those enrolled in the program. I talked a little bit about that. No applications required, and if you're already signed up for the program, there's handouts on both of those drives as well. So please go out to that hub site if you need it, if you want more information. We did hear from the McPherson Chamber on some of their activities they're doing to promote local businesses that are struggling. Debbie Hawkinson is the commercial business liaison to the EOC, and some of the things they've been working on included but not limited to collaborating with MCCF, United Way, Main Street, and agencies in McPherson County to help small businesses and not-for-profit organizations. That group discussed small business surveys that have been submitted as of 4/17 and the needs of each community based upon their survey responses. I'll be finalizing the detail and a grant application that they plan to put in on April 24th. They're communicating with members about their needs and the ways that the chamber can help. I continue to work out there. They've put out a lot of information on business loans and the different programs that are available. I know that there's some of those programs that have spent out some of their total funds available. I know there's a lot of discussion in Congress about extending and making additional funds available to small business. Stay tuned, and hopefully we'll hear a little bit more of that. I know there's some challenges because, as the mayor mentioned in our discussion on Friday, Congress is adjourned till May, so we're hoping that they continue to work through and are able to extend some of those programs for individuals that need them. And they continue to search and share information on business loans, grants, Save Small Business Fund. There's Save the Small Business Fund, Kansas Department of Labor shared work programs, promoting local opportunities and avenues to share local job openings. We want to do that. As there's a need, we need to continue to provide the information about job openings here locally. And then also, just as we mentioned, just continue to have positive, uplifting community shout-outs. I know that Chamber's focused on some of that. And also discussing recovery stages and strategies. And that's a huge thing. As we get closer to the end of this thing, I know there's different reports that have showed we're close to peaking. As we recover from this is going to be a real team effort. It's going to take everybody in the community to come together to make sure we as a community can come out of this. As far as there's not really any current and planned action, strategies and tactics, there weren't a lot of changes. The org chart has not changed a lot. As I mentioned, as you kind of look through the resource list that's in this briefing, wipes are a challenge, disinfectant, spray disinfectant, things of that nature are just not available right now. We have tried to get supplies as we can. We were successful a couple weeks ago getting some masks, and we were also successful getting gloves and hand sanitizer, which we talked about. Going to the EOC objectives on page 17, I will say that most of these objectives haven't changed, but I do think we want to talk about a couple things. I think we need to begin those conversations, as the mayor mentioned, with relevant leaders of the state of Kansas, McPherson County, about how non-essential businesses can begin to reopen, at least on a limited basis, as we get to this May 4th deadline. We've reached out to the county to encourage them to come up with some measures that do allow hopefully at least limited openings of all businesses that have been closed for a number of weeks. We've got to continue to get those. Recovery is not just medical, but there's going to be some economic recovery that comes from this whole thing. And we want to continue to work with the state and the county to fine-tune what potential openings might happen. Obviously, it's all subject to the number of cases and what's happening with the virus spread here locally. But we want to continue to work with them, and as we can, we want to continue to make sure that some of our local businesses are getting healthy from after the major hit that they've all taken as a result of this. And then the last thing that maybe we have a little discussion, and then the recommendation would be that we come back out and have a potential vote on this. We want to talk about the potential to reopen Turkey Creek Golf Course and what's being called a touchless golf format. The recommendation from staff would be that we go to this, and I might just defer to you guys if one of you wants to come up and talk a little bit about this. And I think our goal,
It's also the last page. It is on there?
yeah, if you go to the last page, you can see it as well, but it's also in this packet that you're getting it handed out. And I'll just defer to you, Craig, to
All right.
talk a
Good
little bit
morning,
about that.
commissioners.
Morning.
I have on the front the little packet that I handed you is what we went over last week about the no-touch golf rules that Nick touched on, that was laid out by the state of Kansas. So then Jason and I went back and followed through these rules and looked what other golf courses were doing. Like Nick said earlier, pretty much all the golf courses other than I think Salina Muni has not reopened. That's a municipality golf course around our area. Hillsborough just opened today. So with that being said, this is our guidelines we came up with on the second page to reopen tomorrow. 1, open to members and non-members. 2, clubhouse will be closed for public access unless the restroom facilities are needed. Called to be let in one at a time. We would have the north or the south door be used only to enter and exit for the restroom, and then for number 4 payment, we would do that through the north double door. But tee times, book in advance online or by phone. 15-minute intervals for tee times to limit gathering after they're done, or limit gathering if people are practicing on the putting green beforehand. Number 4, payment will be taken through the door at arrival or over the phone. We're going to try to remind people if they come, credit cards only, so we're not passing around cash. Number 5, golf cart rentals, 1 per person unless you're in the same family household, and those will be sanitized between each use, and we have the process on the back page of that, how we take care of that. Number 6, driving range will open following the sanitary guidelines. Keep your distance if driving range is busy. Golf shop, if you need to purchase item from the golf shop, call the clubhouse and we will assist you. There's a lot of people been texting me and emailing me about they're running low on golf balls because they haven't been able to buy them. Concessions, we will sell
They're in the
concessions.
toilet paper aisle.
Yeah, exactly.
You
Yep.
can get a hole-in-one in a row.
Yeah, there you go. Concessions, we will sell concessions curbside through the doors. All items can be for sale. We have kind of our process on the back page. We notice some golf courses are doing concessions and others are doing it at a limited basis, and some aren't doing it at all. So we can discuss that. Number 9, the touchless golf just lays out golfers must not touch pinholes or other items, otherwise be subject to repeat touching. And number 10, inserts have been put into the cups to remove your ball without touching the flagstick or cup. Scorecards, pencils, ball washers, drinking stations, bunker rakes, sand and seed bottles have been removed from the course to limit touching those. And then we have our number and call for assistance if you need to be let in for any reason. And then on the back we have our process of clubhouse, cart rental, restrooms, and driving range. Clubhouse, we would take payments through the north door. Our personnel will be wearing masks, gloves while assisting customers. They will be allowed to purchase any item in the concession area as the proper PPE will already be in use. Our workers will bring the items to the door for distribution. Beer will be sold and can be packaged in a disposable ice bag instead of using coolers, so after they're done they can just throw it away. If items from the golf shop need to be purchased, we can accommodate that as well. Our worker will get the items needed for the golfer. There is no need for the golfer to be in the clubhouse to purchase from the golf shop. They can just tell us what they want and we can grab it for them. Cart rentals, carts will be sanitized at the beginning of the day and the keys turned on and left in the carts. There's not going to be any distribution of the keys. We'll just pull out all the carts and turn the keys onto the on position so they can just get in there and start driving. There will be one rider per cart unless the golfers are living in the same family unit. Once they have paid, they will be told to take the next cart in line. When the cart returns, it can be sanitized and put back into service if needed. All carts will then sanitize again at the end of the day when they are brought into charge. Restroom facilities in the clubhouse may be used by golfers one at a time. The doorknobs and sink area will be sanitized after each use. Only the restroom on the main floor will be used, and they'll only be able to come in through the south door. And then driving range. The driving range will be picked as needed. The person picking will wear gloves when handling the range balls. The balls will be brought back to the clubhouse where they are then be washed and sanitized. The buckets will also be dipped into a 5-gallon bucket filled with Clorox solution. The buckets will then be left to dry. Throughout the day, the clubhouse worker will have balls and buckets available at the door for distribution to golfers. They'll also be wearing proper PPE as described above. This process can be done throughout the day as needed. There will be dividers set up on the range to keep golfers properly distanced apart from each other as they are hitting. So that is what we had come up with the guidelines that we were given for engaging in the touchless golf.
Any questions for Trey during this study? This is a study session.
I just want to thank you, Trey, for doing all this and coming out. You've done an excellent job. You and Jason both, and I appreciate the work you guys have done on this to try to get that golf course back up and going.
Thank you.
I think it's critical, at this point, we had, when we closed the golf course originally, we had concerns that we had a lot of folks from outside the area that were coming. With a lot of the other golf courses that have opened back up, especially in Sedgwick County and around the area, I don't have the same concerns that we had at that time. And so, from an opening standpoint, I think that's a big consideration, and also following the safety measures that I think you guys have put into place. Make it a little bit easier decision for us to talk about reopening that.
Okay. Anything else? Anybody have another study session item? Are we down to the end?
Mayor, I just might mention one thing. The bulk of the calls that I have received this week at home have come from small business owners, and I'm sure you guys have received the same. They're very concerned they're at a point now to where they may not ever reopen. They're just flat running out of money. And I don't know what we can do for these people, but I do know this, and Nick had this on his report this morning. The Save Small Business Fund is brand new and it just opened today. I would get online or whatever you need to do to get a hold of that outfit and see if you can get some, I don't know what they're offering as far as funding goes, but find out about it and see if they can help you out in some way. But that's the newest thing that's out there. I know they ran out of money in their other fund, but this one's brand new and it's like I say, is opening today, so that might be certainly worth a shot.
I think that's the National Chamber, and I think you can apply for up to $5,000. So you might Google online, National Chamber of Commerce, and see if you can find funds that will be applied. Since that's a national thing, it's a limited amount of money and it'll be in great demand. I want to remind everyone how the process works here. The president has made his stay-at-home pleas. The states have issued stay-at-home executive orders. And some counties have issued stay-at-home or safer-at-home orders. We have to follow whatever the state puts out, and if that state would end that on March 3rd, 4th, right in there, we still would have more time on a safer-at-home county order. And so we cannot do anything beyond what the county says. So that's why the administrator said earlier, we're trying to work with them. We would like to see non-essential businesses open up, and my personal feeling is that we can wear masks, we can use gloves, we can do by appointment on a lot of businesses. Most of our small businesses don't have a great number of people at any one time, so we can practice a lot of social distancing and hygiene and still be able to do that. So this is our plea over the next couple of weeks, is going to be with different parties. Please consider giving us some economic relief for small business, as well as doing social distancing, and we'll go from there. So with that, is there anything else for study session?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, sunshine.
Good to hear everybody's voice. Just a couple things. The auditors are starting their audit session this week, and they're doing it virtually. So I sent out an email to the department heads, but I just wanted to remind everybody to pass that along to your staff, that they could be receiving emails requesting information or activity from them. But once again, they're going to be doing that virtually, so please be patient, as working there virtually can be frustrating. The other thing, just so the commission knows, last week we sent out the 2021 budget worksheets as well as the CIP plan and inventory sheets to all the department heads. They're diligently working on those, which are due back into us on May 4th. Hopefully COVID is over, as our budget calendar indicates that the weeks of May 11th and then the 18th is when we'll start with the budget presentations by department heads as well as the outside agencies that we appropriate funding to. So just wanted to give an update and say hello to everyone.
Okay, hello. We have your report too, and approximately to date for materials, labor, mileage, where we've delivered tests to Topeka, we have a grand total of $27,975.74 that we have invested directly in COVID-19, above and beyond our normal budget. So we are picking up extra expense all the time, and we're expecting 25 to 30% reduction in our revenue. So, I've said this last week, I'll say it again this week. There are some decisions probably going to happen before we get to the end of the year of what we can do and what we can't do. Is statute says we are responsible for balancing our budget regardless, and that means we can't spend more than what we have revenue. So we will continue to go with that, and hopefully we can get this process for the audit done. So thank you for your reports, Janetta. One question before we go back to the commission meeting. Do you need the donation for the fire truck and the alternator repair to be done this week, or do you want to wait till next week? Okay.
Make one comment.
Is there,
On this opening the golf course, maybe I missed that. You taking the temperature of anybody that walks in?
No, coming in the clubhouse, it's closed. Just our staff.
Okay.
The way they could get in is one at a time to use the restroom.
So we need to get a.
You're gonna sanitize the restroom, so sanitize just throughout the day.
So we open up the door, they walk in, go to the door, and
Mhm.
then back out. So
Okay.
there won't be any congregating in the clubhouse.
Okay. The other thing is, do we have any responsibility as far as what happens if somebody comes up with, gets the infection, and they've been out at the golf course? is there any responsibility as far as the city is concerned? Do we have any liability there at all?
I don't know. That
Just a
would-
question,
That would have to be an answer for the city attorney if he wants to unmute and say something before I practice law. Okay, Jeff?
Jeff, can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, without going into specifics, the city has a duty to act reasonable under the circumstances. It is my understanding that the plan was developed off of guidance from the state adjutant general, and that would be more likely than not the standard that could be used. There are also liability protections under the Kansas Tort Claims Act for recreational parks, those kinds of things. So that would not be, one, causation would be next to impossible to prove that you got it in front of the golf course as opposed to somewhere else. But from a liability standpoint, that wouldn't be the driver. Have we, though, this is not a legal consideration, have we looked at how much PPE and sanitizer we're gonna burn in this operation that could be used elsewhere?
I think we have some estimates. We're okay in the short run. It depends on what happens in the long run and what we're doing as a community with different cases. And I will add that even if we go back in session and we open a golf course, if we have a problem with COVID-19 out there, you know, we're back to where we are today and we'll probably have to close.
And I know that, you know, the biggest part of some of that disinfectant is the bleach, and I think our supply of bleach is actually pretty strong, that material. Making sure you guys have the PPE to use while you're doing all that spray down. I know you guys already have some of that PPE that you've been able to reuse a little bit, and just making sure we're staying on top of having that equipment updated, and when it needs to be replaced, having it available. But I know you're trying to be as tight with those resources as we can. But would that be a safe?
Okay, anything else? Thank you, Jeff.
This is Jonetta.
You are only allowed one comment. What do you want, What do you want?
Well, I read the governor's new stay-at-home orders, and it specifically had items on there pertaining to golf courses. So I would definitely take a look at those, her most recent orders to make sure that we comply with what her guidelines that they've given.
I think that's what we were talking about earlier.
Okay,
Yep.
perfect.
Okay, anything else? Okay, I'll declare the study session